For years, most Rush fans believed one thing was impossible. After Neil Peart's passing in 2020, the story seemed finished. Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson had both made it clear that Neil wasn't just their drummer. He was their brother, their lyricist, and a huge part of what made Rush, Rush. So when rumors of a reunion finally became reality, fans naturally focused on one question. Who could possibly sit behind Neil's drum kit? But here's what many people don't know. The biggest decision behind Rush's return wasn't simply choosing a drummer. It was deciding how to bring Rush back without making it feel like Neil was being replaced. That conversation happened long before rehearsals began. According to Geddy Lee, he and Alex Lifeson knew that putting any drummer in Neil Peart's position would be incredibly difficult because fans would inevitably compare that person to one of the greatest drummers in rock history. Instead of searching for the next Neil Peart, they looked for someone who respected his legacy while bringing their own musicianship. That mindset changed everything. Rather than building a tour around replacing a missing member, they built it around celebrating over 50 years of Rush's music and honoring Neil's memory. That single behind-the-scenes decision would end up shaping every rehearsal, every performance, and every emotional moment on the reunion tour. And it all started with one unexpected phone call. By the time Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson were seriously discussing a return to the stage, they already knew one thing. They couldn't rush the process. The wrong decision could make the entire tour feel like a tribute act instead of an authentic Rush performance. Every detail mattered, especially the drummer. Several respected drummers had already performed Rush music at the two Taylor Hawkins tribute concerts in 2022. Musicians like Danny Carey, Omar Hakim, Dave Grohl, Chad Smith, and others earned standing ovations while playing Neil Peart's incredibly demanding parts. Those performances reminded Geddy and Alex that great musicians could honor Neil without trying to imitate him. But one drummer kept standing out for a different reason. Anika Niles. Known for her creative style, deep musicality, and remarkable technical skill, Anika had built an international reputation long before fans began connecting her name with Rush. More importantly, she wasn't interested in becoming the next Neil Peart. She approached every performance with her own identity, while showing genuine respect for Neil's influence. That was exactly what Geddy and Alex had been hoping to find. Behind closed doors, the conversations became less about finding someone who could copy every famous drum fill, and more about finding someone who understood the spirit of the music. Rush had always been about chemistry, trust, and musicians listening to each other, not simply recreating old records note for note. Once that became the priority, everything started falling into place. The call was made, the conversations began, and before long, rehearsals were quietly taking shape. But what happened during those first rehearsals surprised everyone involved, and it convinced Geddy and Alex they had made the right decision. The first rehearsals weren't about putting on a show. They were about answering one important question. Could this actually feel like Rush again? According to interviews Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson have given over the past few years, the emotional challenge was just as great as the musical one. Every song carried memories of decades spent performing with Neil Peart. Returning to that music without him wasn't something either of them took lightly. From the beginning, rehearsals focused on communication instead of perfection. Rather than asking Anika Niles to copy every note exactly as Neil had played it, the goal was to preserve the heart of the songs while allowing the music to breathe naturally. That approach reflected something Rush had always valued throughout its career: musicianship built on trust, not imitation. As they worked through classics like Tom Sawyer, Limelight, and Spirit of Radio, something unexpected began to happen. The chemistry started to grow. Instead of feeling like three musicians forcing a reunion, the sessions gradually became relaxed, creative, and surprisingly enjoyable. For Geddy and Alex, that was the real turning point. The rehearsals no longer felt like revisiting the past, they felt like making music again. That quiet realization gave everyone confidence that the tour could honor Neil's legacy without pretending he was replaceable. But there was still one major hurdle left. No matter how well rehearsals went, none of it mattered until the fans saw the band on stage for the first time. And no one, not even Geddy and Alex, knew how emotional that first performance would become. No amount of rehearsal could prepare them for opening night. As the lights dimmed and the crowd erupted, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson faced a moment they had spent years avoiding. For the first time since Neil Peart's passing, they were about to perform Rush's music without the man who had helped define it for nearly 5 decades. The atmosphere was electric, but it was also deeply emotional. Fans weren't just there to hear classic songs. They wanted to see how the band would honor Neil's memory while moving forward with dignity. From the opening notes, it became clear that the behind-the-scenes decision had worked. Instead of trying to recreate the past, the performance celebrated it. Anika Neely's approached every song with confidence and respect, delivering the complex rhythms that Rush fans expected, while adding the natural feel that has made her one of today's most admired drummers. Rather than drawing attention to herself, she focused on serving the music and supporting Geddy and Alex. As the set continued, something remarkable happened. The audience stopped wondering whether anyone could replace Neil, because it was obvious that no one was trying to. That shift changed the entire mood of the night. Fans began cheering not for a replacement, but for a new chapter built on respect, friendship, and the music they all loved. Still, the most powerful moment of the tour hadn't happened yet. It came later in the show, when one unexpected tribute brought the entire arena to a standstill. As the concert moved toward its final stretch, the energy in the arena shifted. The excitement of hearing Rush's legendary songs gave way to something quieter. Fans knew they were witnessing more than a concert. They were watching two lifelong friends carry forward a legacy they had built with Neil Peart over nearly 50 years. Throughout the years, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson have consistently said that Neil could never be replaced. That belief remained at the heart of every performance. The goal was never to erase his absence, but to acknowledge it with honesty and respect. Instead of avoiding Neil's memory, the tour embraced it. Subtle visual tributes, heartfelt moments between songs, and the unmistakable sound of Rush's music reminded everyone why Neil's influence continues to resonate with musicians around the world. The audience responded not with sadness alone, but with gratitude for the music, the memories, and the courage it took for Geddy and Alex to return to the stage. By the end of the night, many fans realized they hadn't spent the concert comparing drummers. They had spent it celebrating Rush. That was the hidden success of the reunion. The behind-the-scenes decision to focus on honoring Neil instead of replacing him had completely changed the experience for everyone in the building. And when the final applause echoed through the arena, one truth became impossible to ignore. This reunion wasn't about looking backward. It was about proving that a band's legacy can continue with integrity, as long as the people carrying it forward never forget where it began. When people look back on Rush's reunion years from now, they'll probably remember the sold-out crowds, the unforgettable performances, and the emotional return of Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson to the stage. But the real story happened long before the first ticket was scanned. It happened in private conversations, where they made a choice that would define everything that followed. Instead of asking, who can replace Neil Peart, they asked a much better question. How do we honor him while still making music together? That simple change in perspective became the foundation of the entire tour. It allowed the performances to feel genuine instead of forced. It gave the musicians room to be themselves while treating Neil's legacy with the respect it deserved. And perhaps most importantly, it reminded fans of something Rush had always stood for: growth, honesty, and musical integrity. Neil Peart's influence wasn't limited to the drum kit. It lives in the songs, the lyrics, the ideas, and the standards of excellence that he, Geddy Lee, and Alex Lifeson built together over decades. No one can replace that. But by refusing to try, Geddy and Alex may have made the smartest behind-the-scenes decision of their entire comeback. In the end, the reunion wasn't successful because it recreated the past. It succeeded because it respected the past, while giving fans one more chance to experience the music that changed their lives. And maybe that's the greatest tribute Rush could ever give to Neil Peart. If you enjoyed this story and want more behind-the-scenes Rush history, untold band stories, and deep dives into rock's greatest moments, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.